almost 59 degrees.
Welcome to Gay Fairfax, the capital area's only weekly gay entertainment magazine, sharing news, views, and pride. I'm Michelle Michaels.
And I'm Rick Sincere. Each week we feature events and personalities of interest to gay men and women in the Washington, D.C. area.
But now we're at Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. Are you having a good time?
The whole Gay Fairfax crew is having a good time here today, and we've got lots of segments coming up tonight.
That's for sure, so we better get started.
With the Atlantic Ocean as our backdrop here in beautiful Rehoboth Beach, we've interviewed Joyce Felton, co-owner of the popular happy hour hangout, the Blue Moon, and of the night spot in town, the Strand. We talked to Joyce about her struggle for gay businesses against the family resort mentality of Rehoboth Beach. Our guest right now is Joyce Felton, who's the owner of several gay sympathetic businesses in Rehoboth and probably one of the most famous people in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. Welcome to Gay Fairfax, Joyce.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Now, you're the owner of the Blue Moon, which is probably the premier place for happy hours in Rehoboth Beach. How long has that business been going, and how did it become gay-oriented?
Co-owner, actually, I don't want to neglect Victor Presapia, my partner. We've been in existence for 12 years. This is our 12th season.
Wow, 12 years. And when it started, was it just a small place that's grown magnificently?
Well, we had a grand plan. We didn't achieve all of it, but we have grown considerably, and I think a lot of that has to do with the community that we are marketing to. We started out with a small Victorian beach house, and now it's turned into, quite a little active happy hour and restaurant. Please don't neglect that.
Can't forget that. And is that open year-round?
Almost. We close Thanksgiving and we reopen Valentine's Day.
Oh, that's a nice time to reopen.
Right.
You say that the Blue Moon's been open for 12 years. Was that your first business in Rehoboth Beach?
Yes, it was. And actually my business partner, Victor Presapia, had the Back Porch Cafe for a number of years prior to that, but it was our first joint venture together.
Now, in those 12 years, have you seen a lot of changes take place in Rehoboth Beach? Has the community's character changed at all?
Absolutely. Many dramatic changes on many fronts, socially, economically. Just the look, the feel of the town. There's been a tremendous influx of dollars from the city that have produced very high-quality restaurants, boutiques, shops, bed and breakfasts, guest houses, motels. It's been a boom town in a lot of ways.
Have you noticed any difference in the types of tourists who come to visit?
Yes, I have. I mean, that my market at the Blue Moon specifically is primarily gay. At least the bar is a tremendous number of gay men and women coming from many different places. Now Pennsylvania, New York, Ohio, Virginia, where before it had been almost exclusively Washington, Baltimore, Philadelphia. It's wonderful to see that we are a welcoming, embracing community.
Mm-hmm. And Rehoboth has been mentioned in a number of gay travel guides recently.
Right, that's very true.
And has that brought in people from all over the world?
Not so much the world, because it's difficult to get to. I mean, remember that, we're at the end of the earth here, that if you don't drive, you're really at a loss.
The Strand opened about 4 years ago, and there's quite a lot of controversy involved in that.
Yes, it is actually 3 separate businesses all rolled into one. We have the Surfside Diner, which is a 50s retro concept, and that's open all year. The West Side Cafe, which is a bistro, moderately priced, which we try to do entertainment and piano bar and some karaoke, and it's really a lot of fun. And then the second floor of that establishment is the Strand, the dance club.
Now, as I recall, when the Strand was started about 4 years ago, there was some controversy in terms of granting licenses. There was even an article in the Washington Post magazine that talked about it. Can you give us some of the background in that situation?
Well, it's really an ongoing process or situation, and we have met with a tremendous amount of resistance to receive our liquor license, and it's been really a very small percentage of this town, but they're very well placed. They're very well, they're well empowered, and we've resigned ourselves to the fact that we will not get a liquor license on the second floor, though they really can't stop us from being open, and we are a success, though limited, within that scope. Though we don't serve alcoholic beverage on the second floor at the Strand, we do on the first floor. It was probably the most overt activity that our opposition took 5 years ago to try and squelch the gay community. Even though the Blue Moon had been open, it was quiet and it was acceptable, but the Strand was, they were obsessed, and it was very difficult for them to do anything but pass really restrictive legislation and deny us consistently our liquor license.
Wasn't it about that time that people began to see bumper stickers that said something like "Keep Rehoboth a Family Resort"?
Right, Keep Rehoboth a Family Town. Actually, that had been a catchphrase for a long time. You don't see it much anymore. We, a number of years ago, escrowed all of our city license dollars until they struck that from. Actually, they even had it in a city flyer when you renewed your license. It's it certainly means something that it doesn't make me very happy, but.
So do you think that slogan was specifically anti-gay, or was it perhaps just to differentiate Rehoboth from Ocean City and its gargantuan quality?
I think it was dual-fold, but now mostly it's an anti-gay catchphrase.
Now, the Strand has been going quite successfully for about 4 years now without a liquor license. Right. It's a very popular place, always really booming. How have relations with the rest of the town developed in that time?
Well, it's paradoxical. Better in a lot of ways. We've got a strong restaurant association which sprung up from a lot of restrictive legislation, I think originally intended to disable me. Though when you try and disable one person, it has a tendency to do the same for many others in the same profession. So we've sort of band together, and I believe that there's a lot of community support. Camp Rehoboth has been a tremendous source of emotional and physical support. I mean, there are people who I know that we can count on. This has been a dream of mine, and Steve and I talked about this years ago. I begged him to come down from New York to try and, begin something like this. But at the same time, there are those obsessive few who are made, the fire is fueled even more when they don't get what they want. They don't like to see, because of a fear, an unnamed fear of, this town being taken over, they will continue.
Well, it sounds like you're a real Rehoboth Beach booster. Is that a good way to characterize it?
I definitely am. I've had my moments. A couple of years ago, I think when Victor and I were at our lowest ebb, we had anticipated leaving. It was very difficult to fight the battle by ourselves, and then after the fact came Camp Rehoboth and other groups that were very supportive. But I guess we were the machete bearers. 12 years ago, we were, we really forged the way for a lot of other people to come, behind us with restaurants and boutiques. And I believe that part of my my function is to do service. And we really are very supportive of the beach bus people and the whole complex here, and anyone who wants to open up a new business or to move here, to register to vote, to be able to turn the tide. That's really important to us, too.
And it's a very small town, only about 2,000 registered voters.
Right, and of those 2,000 registered voters, usually only 1,200, or maybe even less, vote. And so you can see the margin is so minute, you know, to swing the vote.
So an endorsement by Camp Rehoboth or by the Restaurant Association could mean a lot.
It could mean a lot, though. The Rehoboth Beach Homeowners Association is strongly entrenched, and they have a very strong network. And a lot of retirees, all they do is try and run what they feel is their town. And they're good at it. They've been doing it for a long time. They're really good at it. But that doesn't mean that we can't, you know, slowly entrench ourselves. And I'm very hopeful.
Because it's your town, too, and our town.
That's very true, and that's the beauty of, you know, camp, and it's the beauty of what we've been trying to do with offering people alternative methods of enjoyment, and to enjoy them in peace and enjoy them with dignity, that nothing is clearly defined. And we would like to be able to have the respect and, you know, the opportunity to, you know, to offer what we do without feeling under the gun, under pressure, or, you know, and there's tremendous amount of discrimination on behalf of the business people. I hope that it doesn't filter down into the community at large, because I don't think that does well. It bodes well for the, you know, the tourists. You know, that's our bread and butter. I'll take a lot of the heat, but, you know, as I said a couple of years ago, it was almost too much for me. But I've renewed faith, renewed vigor.
Well, you can take a lot of the heat, but you should also take a lot of the credit, I think.
Oh, thank you very much.
Well,
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, well, Joyce, thanks for being with us on Gay Fairfax today, and it's very nice to have you in Rehoboth and to be with you here in Rehoboth.
Thank you.
The gay community everywhere has to deal with the powers that be, including the police department. Here in Rehoboth Beach, Chief Craig Doyle has been offering sensitivity training to his officers so that they can better deal with the gay visitors and the gay inhabitants of Rehoboth Beach. I had an opportunity to talk to Chief Doyle in his office right in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, and asked him about the sensitivity training and the police-community relations. Gay Fairfax has the unique opportunity to visit the police headquarters at Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. I'm with Chief Craig Doyle, who is the chief of the Rehoboth Beach Police Department, and we're going to talk to him about relations between the police and the gay community. Welcome to Gay Fairfax.
Thank you, Rick.
First of all, how big is the Rehoboth Beach Police Department? How many officers do you have under your command?
We're presently authorized 18 full-time officers. We're one short. We're filling that vacancy now, but this summer we have also hired 29 part-time or summer officers from June 1st through September 30th to help us out.
Do you have any women or minorities on the force as well?
We have one female who is full-time, who is a sergeant. She is the only female or minority on the full-time staff. However, on the complement of summer officers, we have 4 females and 1 black male who's a resident of Prince George's County, Maryland.
I see. Now, as for yourself, how long have you been chief of this force?
Just a little over a year. I came here June 10th of 1991 after retiring from the Metropolitan Police Department in Washington, D.C. as a lieutenant after 21 years. I was assigned to the 3rd District in Upper Northwest.
So you're familiar with things in Washington as well as Delaware then?
Oh, very, very much so.
Well, let's go directly to the question of relations between the police and the gay community. Last year there was an incident reported in the Washington papers that involved the arrest of several gay people on the stretch of beach known as Poodle Point, where gay people tend to congregate. And that got somewhat of a reaction from gay visitors and as well as gay residents in Rehoboth. What happened in that incident and what happened afterwards?
In the incident, Rick, we had one gentleman who was down in the south end of the beach, just off Prospect Street, who removed his bathing suit and was in the water and was clearly visible to the public. The beach patrol, the lifeguards, contacted the police department. They went down there. And I guess things kind of degenerated from that point to a certain extent, because the lifeguards seemed to get pretty uptight as just the onlookers crowded in to see what was transpiring. As a result, the one bather was arrested for indecent exposure, and I believe 3 other gentlemen were arrested for disorderly conduct for interfering with the lifeguards and the police officers around the scene. I was very pleased with the fallout, or rather the lack of fallout from that incident, and I think that was very clearly connected to the efforts I had made the very first week that I was on the job here in Rehoboth Beach, and had a meeting with the owners of several of the larger gay businesses in the city. And we sat down for, oh my gosh, almost 2 hours, just talked about, you know, how is the police department related to the gay and lesbian community in the city in the past? Have you had any problems? Are there any particular officers that you know who tend to be biased or discriminatory in their carrying out their police duties? And it was a really positive meeting, and it kind of set the stage for the whole summer. And then when that incident came about in late July, gee, I'll bet the incident wasn't maybe 2 hours old. And at that time, I was still commuting back and forth to my home in Maryland every 2 weeks just to see my family. And about 2 hours after the arrests were made, Lou Chabarro from the Washington Blade called me. And again, I had made contact with Lou before I left Washington. And we did some rumor control and damage control. There was a lot of misinformation that was out there. Lou was able to disseminate it back to the gay and lesbian community in Washington. And I think it was just a terrific manifestation of, if you do some groundwork ahead of time, if you do have an incident, an arrest, whatever come up, that you've got a little bit of trust established there. And it just prevented any real hard feelings from festering in the gay community here in Rehoboth for the rest of the summer.
Now, when you came on the job and that first meeting took place, was that initiated by you or by the gay business owners?
I initiated that myself. Before I left Washington, I contacted then Inspector Gary Abrecht, who was the liaison officer of the Metropolitan Police Department to the gay and lesbian community in Washington. I said, hey, Gary, I said, I'm going down to Rehoboth. Do you know any people down there that would be good people to get in touch with? I said, there's a large gay community there, and they're going to be part of my, quote, constituency. So he gave me a couple of names, and also told me to make sure I called Lou Chabarro, because he said he knew Lou would probably know quite a few folks down here. So I called Lou, and waiting for me on my desk that first week was a letter and a packet of information from Lou with some names. I contacted those people, and particularly Steve Elkins and Joyce Felton. Trying to think of some of the other people. Got the word out there, got a group of local business people together, and we sat down and had a real good talk.
Now, more recently, I understand there's been a gay sensitivity class held for your officers, sponsored by Gays and Lesbians Opposing Violence. Now, how did that get going, and was it successful?
I think it was very successful, Rick. This came about because of some conversations that myself, Mayor Cooper, and Jim Barr from the Camp Rehoboth newsletter here in the city had back in the fall. And we were talking about different things we could do to improve the relationships between not necessarily the police department and the gay and lesbian community, but the whole city. And so I just started checking around. There was a very good friend of mine who's an instructor at the D.C. Police Academy, and I called her and I said, I know that as part of your recruit training, you have a program where members of the gay and lesbian community come in and address the police recruits there. Is there anybody you know that I can get in touch with? Well, they turned me on to Dick Bosch, and Dick and I called and corresponded over a period of months, and he and his team from Glove came out here on Tuesday night, June 2nd, and did a 2-hour sensitivity program for my 29 summer officers and 6 of our full-time officers. That was really the only full-time ones I could muster that were off duty. I think it was a tremendous success based on how the officers participated and what they had to say. I went as kind of an observer, and I was really pleased by the kind of questions that were being asked, the feelings that were coming out, And I think it was a really good start. I hope that we can have similar programs in the future so I can get the rest of my full-time officers into it. The reason that I pressed so hard for it is I guess I'm a little bit of a believer in like preventive medicine. And I've always been very training oriented. That was one of my main initiatives when I took this job, and I let all my officers know that I'm going to get you as much training as I possibly can. And I feel that the more a police officer is trained in all aspects of his job, the less likely the possibility of police officers doing things wrong, getting complaints from the community. So I figured, hey, we have a very large gay and lesbian community here. Why not, before something happens, instead of, as the police always do afterwards, in a reactive mode, why not do something now if anybody's got some real biases that they need to deal with, let's get them on out there and deal with them, and hopefully, you know, provide better service to the gay and lesbian community this summer.
Do you anticipate any time in the future of hiring an openly gay or lesbian officer?
If there was, fine. I hire my feeling is that I hire the best qualified individual. The Delaware State Police does our entrance testing for us, the written and physical agility testing. We do a pretty lengthy personal interview of our applicants. They have to take a psychological evaluation, a complete physical, drug screen, and I'm not particularly interested in what somebody's sexual orientation is. I want a good cop who can be a human being, who can use common sense and reason when he's out there doing the job. That's the most important qualifications as far as I'm concerned.
Well, that sounds really good. I know this is a busy time of the year for you. I don't want to take any more of your time, but I'd like to thank you for joining us on Gay Fairfax, and I hope that we can meet again sometime soon.
My pleasure, Rick. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Chief Doyle.
We've certainly not been at a loss to meet interesting people here, to start some new friendships and renew some old ones. So now let's go to a very popular late afternoon oasis, the Blue Moon, where people from all over the East Coast gather to relax after a grueling day at the beach. It's happy hour at the Blue Moon, and we're talking to Jennifer and Shay about what they think is so special about Rehoboth.
Special about Rehoboth? Actually, we've come here about twice a year for the last 2 summers, I think, right, Jennifer. And this time we brought some ladies that haven't been here before, Michelle, and the initial time they got here, they said they were quite comfortable with the situation. I think that's why we keep returning. You arrive here, and the atmosphere is extremely relaxing.
Right. You don't have to worry about anyone looking at you, or you can be yourself. You can go where you want to go. There happens to be a lot of family in the area, and it's a very relaxing vacation as compared to a lot of other places where you just go and sightsee. Here you can actually be yourself, I think.
There's a lot of fabulous people at the Blue Moon. We've enjoyed returning each year. Really
so you feel there's a real sense of community here in the gay community here?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's the heart of Rehoboth, actually.
What's your most memorable Rehoboth experience that you can say on a family show?
Oh, gosh, darn. I don't know. I'll have to say, there have been a lot of experiences down here. The hat parties have been fun, the old hat parties where everybody would come in with big, huge hats. They've always been fun and everything like that. But the thing that I think is the most special to me about Rehoboth is the dinner parties that we have at night where we invite lots of people and just have a nice time,
Hi, I'm Michelle Michaels, and we're at Square One with Sherry and niece, and they've just moved from the Midwest 2 months ago, and they are in Rehoboth. Let's see why. So what brings you to Rehoboth after coming from the Midwest?
Well, I moved to D.C., and I had heard that Rehoboth was one of the nicest places around and a wonderful way to meet nice people. So I said, it sounded like my kind of place, so that's why I came.
When you say nice people, do you mean gay people?
Nice gay people, friendly gay people, and out people.
What did you hear about Rehoboth before you came here? What made you want to visit here?
Very liberal, very open. Yeah.
Accepting of gay people?
Right,
Exactly.
much more than North Carolina and South Carolina.
We have Jesse Helms to deal with in North Carolina, so it makes it much more exciting to visit somewhere outside of North Carolina.
It has a laid-back attitude, and there's not as many crying babies as there are in Ocean City. It's real relaxed. I've been coming here for 10 years now, and I wouldn't go anywhere else.
Did you go to the beach yet? And if so, what was that like?
Yeah, we've been to, the first time we came was 3 weeks ago, and we went to Poodle Beach, and then we found out there was a women's beach up on the North Shore, so that's where we've been ever since.
Definitely go to Blue Moon for happy hour, and start off there, and wherever it takes you will be wonderful.
They just have to be here and meet the people, because the people are the best part of Rehoboth.
So we'll see you back here next year.
Oh, absolutely. You'll see us again this year. Yes, once or twice or 3 times maybe. You never know.
Well, that's it for this special edition of Gay Fairfax from Rehoboth Beach, Delaware.
Be sure to check into Gay Fairfax next week at this time. But maybe before we go, we should check out those beach blankets, Rick.
You mean that beach blanket bingo?
Well, whatever you want to call it, but I saw some ones I want to check out. See you later. For Gay Fairfax, I'm Michelle Michaels.
And I'm Rick Sincere. And remember, to keep the pride alive. I think that looks pretty good.